can get that Cadillac or BMW roof for the price of a Honda.
And I want to fact check that.
Trying to get me in trouble here, Dimitri. Volume can solve a lot of issues.
Comes with a lot of ifs and a lot of conditions.
But if it's a tree,
This one is probably the hardest question I will ask.
it's a 60 square roof and they're done by 2 o'clock. You know, that's something that we take seriously.
So according to Tilcor, the best asphalt shingle is... Today we're interviewing Chris Danielson, also known as Old Tin Man. What's behind your name?
Well, I've always been involved in metal from gutters, and I sold steel siding before. I'm with Tilcor, and a long time ago I went to get on Twitter and get a username, and I wanted Tin Man. That was taken, so I just threw an old in front of it, and now I'm getting old, so it's fitting.
So Twitter, tell me that story. How many followers did you gain?
Twitter's one of the things I did what probably, a lot of people did. 2008-ish, I read Crush It, and I went out and got a Twitter handle. And Twitter's, I'm pretty active on social media, and I still post on Twitter, but it's a platform that I haven't used actively, consistently at least. I'll go in little phases, but it's not something I've used consistently.
What's your favorite social media?
Between Facebook and Instagram, but probably Instagram. I think I've gotten the most interaction and definitely the most business out of being active on Instagram.
We'll come back to Instagram a little bit later. I have a couple questions about it. But for those of you who don't know, if you guys watched 2020 marketing guide, actually I'll talk about you. You are #1 sales rep among all sales reps that I know that absolutely crushed it on Instagram. I cannot imagine how hard it is to sell small niche product. I mean, roofing is boring. Like I'm surprised how roofing insights is doing well, all of that, because maybe we have some business content and stuff, but selling roofing is boring. Selling metal is even more boring, but you crushed it. Your account is amazing. I actually enjoy following you. Very creative, very to the point. How do you come up with ideas, and what's behind Instagram? And
I just, the whole point of what I'm doing is just trying to obviously not only create sales, but just build relationships and develop relationships. And I just felt the community of Instagram and just using hashtags and being active on there. I don't know if it just works. I think it works the best for me in the way that I communicate with people. And so I've tried them all, and I use them all. But I've gotten the most feedback out of that, and I'm definitely the most consistent on Instagram.
From the latest, this is my favorite post you did. All over social media, all we hear is wear a face mask, keep your social distance, we're all in this together, everyone is scared or getting sick. And then you went on a rant. No one is talking about what really matters. This virus is dangerous to the elderly, immune compromised, and people in general poor health. So love it. So you crossing the line a little bit, going into politics, talking about fitness. Is it dangerous to talk about something like masks for sales rep?
Ultimately, yes, it probably is. I try and stay away from it to some degree, but the whole COVID thing and everything, it's so out there, and unfortunately it's so wrapped up in politics. But obviously, if you follow me from some time, fitness is a big part of my life, and it's changed my life, and it's super important. And it's just, everyone talks about masks, no one talks about some underlying, it's just like in medicine. We try and find something to fix the problem, but they don't try and find a solution so the problem doesn't exist. And you can do that with fitness and diet, I think. So.
Okay. So my next question from that, you finished that post saying, work on yourself, stop eating shit, and move your body. Everyone has different levels. I don't care what you do, but do something. Mm-hmm. Would you say that when we install asphalt shingles, it's a temporary fix versus finding a real solution? Because I see your angle in a lot of posts against asphalt shingles or cheaper alternatives.
Sure. So, yeah, to answer your question, ultimately, I do. I mean, no, granted, I get not every homeowner, not every home is a candidate for stone coated steel, whether it be budget or there's a bunch of factors that weigh into it. But a lot of that I do, I think I do more so as an education and get, so few people know about metal roofing. And when they think metal, they think, a hog barn that you see out here, when I was driving down south earlier. But stone coated steel, and even homeowners I talk to in neighborhoods that have stone coated steel, they don't even know it's stone coated steel. So a lot of that I do. I mean, there's definitely there's truth in it, and I believe in that. But more so, I think it's just more of an education process and get people to realize that there's other options out there.
Okay. I love one of your quotes. Let's change the way you look at your roof. Is metal roofing trending today?
Yeah, I mean, metal roofing in general is definitely gaining steam. It depends what you look at, but within the metal roofing category, stone coated is definitely growing in popularity. Some markets more than others. Obviously, the heavy storm markets, there's a lot. But there's been a lot of changes within stone coated. But if you look, there was the major manufacturers, but now, I mean, especially in Texas, that's where it seems like a lot of them are based. But I mean, there's constantly new stone coated companies popping up and trying to get into the market in different ways. And I think they're doing that because there is a demand for it. And people are trying to get in.
I've seen few reports, and definitely asphalt is not dying, but having less market share, and metal in general is the fastest growing, I think, new product that comes to market. Yeah. What's the percentage of stone coated from all the metals? We have standing seams, we have a lot.
Yeah, I mean, out of that, from the numbers I've seen, like maybe residential roofing, you're going to look at about 10% is going to be metal. And out of that 10%, it's probably MRA's done some stats on it, and I haven't seen any recent ones, but it's probably in that 2 to 3%, but it's definitely trending in the right direction. It's going upwards for sure.
Okay. We live in a scale economy. We want nicer things, but we don't want to pay for them, especially with the new generation. And I'm one of them. Like we don't care too much for Rolex watches anymore or expensive cars. We want to drive a nice car, but we don't want to pay $250,000 for it. Right. And I think it goes the same for our houses. People want to live a nicer, bigger house, and they sacrifice, thickness of your walls. They sacrifice, what's in the roof. How do you sell premium products, Mercedes-Benz products, Rolls-Royces, in an economy where builders want to install the cheapest, but the consumer want to do the cheapest, but that looks decent? So we want to fake it before we make it. How do you sell to those people?
Yeah, that's definitely challenging. And it depends on what environment you're looking at. If you're talking in as far as the roofing goes, if you're talking in an insurance situation, kind of that example where if they have an asphalt roof, they're getting insurance proceeds. What better time if you want to upgrade and you can get that Cadillac or BMW roof for the price of a Honda, because you have insurance proceeds to pay for some of it. You can use that to upgrade, and you can get a really top quality roof, and you're not going to have to pay the full price.
So, but besides that, why would I, how much on average, what's the increase? How much more roofing stone coated steel cost?
Obviously, there's a lot of factors, depending on the complexity of the house and things of that nature, and what grade of asphalt you're going with. But just a standard, typical 30-year asphalt compared to stone coated is usually going to be in the 2 to 2.5 times.
2 to 2.5.
Yeah, and that's pretty fair average. Obviously, if you get into some of the higher grade asphalts, it's going to get closer. But 2 to 2.5 times is a pretty good average.
So if I'm the homeowner and you're pitching me a metal roof instead of going back with the asphalt, and it's not a storm situation, there's no insurance claim. So what would you tell me?
So there's a few things that I talk about, two specifically in relation to the homeowner, and that's energy efficiency and lifetime cost. So specifically, if we're talking in a retail environment, I use this example a lot in some of my presentations. You have an asphalt roof that's $20,000. That same roof is going to be $45,000 in stone coated. The life expectancy of stone coated steel it's a limited lifetime 50-year warranty. So for all intents and purposes, that's a 50-year roof. Asphalt, I'm just going to go on average and just rough numbers, and you're going to be lucky to get 15 years out of an asphalt roof. So just factoring nothing else in the life of that stone coated roof, you're going to spend $60,000 replacing that roof 3 times, the asphalt roof 3 times. And so you have a product that was 2.5 times more at the start. Now it's $15,000 less, just by the pure replacement. And that's figuring in, obviously material and labor costs over 50 years. That cost is only going to go up. It's not going to go down. So the margin is actually probably even a little greater. But and then energy efficiency is something that I like to talk about, especially in a market like this, or Colorado where I'm at. Not only you get the warm weather, but you get snow and ice damming. And I know you do stuff with ice damming. The above sheeting ventilation that is created in the install process of stone coated steel. Not only does that help with the energy efficiency and reducing attic temperatures and things of that nature, but it also does a significant job of decreasing, almost virtually eliminating ice damming.
50-year warranty, you mentioned it. It's only came about, I think, 2012, 2013. The biggest player out there, Asphalt Shingles, came up with a 50-year warranty. And I would say in my experience in Minneapolis, according to Department of Labor, roofs last about 18, 20 years. Obviously, you're right. In many markets, the life expectancy is right there, 15 to 18. Like if you go to Alabama, right, somewhere with a lot of sun, Florida, but roofs are baking more. Here we have winds and other elements, sure, snow. But I would say 15 to 20 years, it's reasonable expectation. So manufacturers on the asphalt side did not improve a lot, but they did improve a lot on the paperwork side. What do you think about 50-year warranty on asphalt shingles? Because I think you guys are the one who pushed them to get the warranty. So they could not improve their product, but they improved their warranty to compete with
right,
asphalt. So now, and the reason I'm asking this question, because if I'm the homeowner, I've done my study, I talked to asphalt guys, and they're pitching me this lifetime warranty. They're telling me, Dimitri, it's all BS. We will pay you up to 50 years for your roof if you go with us. And then you come in and say, well, it's 2.5 times, but it's also 50-year warranty. So your 50-year, it's more reasonable than their 50 years, but on paper is the same. How do you overcome that objection?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, warranties in general are, they're not meant to be easy. They're written by attorneys. So I think in general, no matter what product you're talking about, it's tricky. Some people love to dig into warranties. Some people, honestly, could care less because they don't believe them. But when it comes to asphalt, the only thing, and I don't know all of them specifically, but there's a lot of, language in those warranties that truly doesn't make them a 50-year. And quite honestly, and I think this goes with a lot of warranties, is what's the average? Most people live in their house maybe 5-10 years, and so a huge portion of those people are never. I mean, a warranty issue is never going to even be.
And it's not going to be transferred or transfer one time.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the number of transfers is a big thing. We have unlimited transfers. There's no cost to register or to transfer.
What's
or
life expectancy of your roof or life expectancy of stone coated steel roof?
I mean, 50 years is a good number. I definitely think it's going to last longer than 50 years. I mean, over time, the only really thing that can fail from a manufacturer's point of view on stone coated is granule loss. You've seen farm buildings that got a metal roof on them. They're 100 years old and they're still doing their thing.
We just filmed one that was built in. It was 50-year plus roof, and it was commercial building. And we were walking. The company did coating on it, so they pretty much painted the roof, extended an extra 10-15 years. But the roof was fine. I walked on it. I mean, metal is metal.
Sure. But if you get in some of these older areas where they've had stone coated installed for 30 years, I mean, it holds up extremely well. 30, 40 years. I mean, it started coming here in the States in the early 50s, so there's some out there that are old, but I mean, 30, 40 years I see roofs and you'd be hard pressed to tell them from a 5-year-old roof.
Another tricky question comes with hail warranty. So you have class 4. I personally think we should have like Class 10 certification.
I couldn't agree more.
Because Class 4, they're all Class 4. Tile is metal, and it's misleading because your Class 4 is not their Class 4.
Right.
I mean, they all might fail. Like, you take a ball, you throw it on the metal, it can bend, or asphalt shingle, it can destroy it, but they perform way different.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely a tricky one. And on stone-coated steel, the warranty is tricky. It's a penetration warranty.
It's not going to leak, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. And so it's a penetration warranty, but you're exactly right. I mean, I've even seen, we just got hit pretty hard down in the Springs in Colorado, and Class 4, even Class 4 asphalt, I mean, it just...
Oh yeah.
If
it's
doesn't,
2 inch will destroy it, 100%.
And I had guys call me specifically, and they were on roofs that skylights shattered everything.
What's 2 inch hail will do to Tilcor roof?
Well, we just had it down in the Springs, and I got several reports, and they're up there. They can't even see any dents.
Another question I have for you is why asphalt shingles are so cheap? Is it because of demand and popularity? And the reason I ask it, like for example, in the music industry, if you do the music or DVD, whatever, if you have a small quantity, it has to be more. When it's in demand, it has to do with the distribution and stuff. Is it the same thing happening in the roofing, where asphalt is, you have too many plants every city, in metal maybe it's more expensive to produce and to distribute? Is that what drives the cost up?
Yeah, well, one is definitely the demand, because like I said, the stone-coated market is growing. I mean, it's 2% of asphalt. I mean, it's a minuscule, and so that definitely has, volume can solve a lot of issues.
So if metal will become as popular as asphalt, will price be competitive too? Or because metal, if you look at the ingredients, metal is expensive, I get it, but asphalt is not cheap too. Right. I mean, it's cheaper, but I think a lot of cost what we have now is because this is exclusive and not popular, and you have to ship it across 8 states.
Right.
Yeah,
there's, I don't know if it'll ever level out, but I definitely think the more exposure, the more volume you get out there. There's a bunch of things that play into, it allows us to buy our raw materials at a larger scale, and anytime you can increase all that stuff and increase the way you buy, it's going to help. Sure. It's going to help get the price down lower.
So if you guys want a cheaper metal roofs, just buy more. We'll solve that problem a little bit too. What makes good metal roofing system?
So the manufacturing process, when you look at our products, I mean, they're all the manufacturers, stone-coated manufacturers, they look very similar. One of the ways to tell quality from the others is if you flip, anybody can make a panel look good on top, and that's what people see. But when you flip it over, you can see how the manufacturing process, and you can see if there's stress marks in the metal, things of that nature. And I go back to, this is something I use a lot, but the steel. House is only as good as its foundation. The steel is the foundation of any stone-coated panel, and the raw materials we use are better than anyone else's.
What makes good steel?
So the ingredients in it, the iron, the zinc, all those ingredients factor into it, and the main difference is recycled content versus virgin. We use 100% virgin steel. Obviously, metal and steel in itself is recyclable.
How many manufacturers use recycled?
Everybody else.
Everybody else?
Literally everybody. And the main reason that we do that, it's a good it's great quality, but it's a good quality control, because like I mentioned earlier, if you're going to have an issue with stone-coated steel as far as a manufacturer failure, it's going to be coating. That coating process, the metal is very important, because the zinc content, the iron content, all that matters in the curing process. How long it stays in the oven, what temperature it stays in. And when you're buying on the spot market, it's a little bit different every time. So you got to be really good at gauging that on your ovens. And we single source 30 years. We've used the same metal supplier, and we use 100% virgin. So we know exactly what we're getting every time in and time out.
So I just want to document this. So no one else like you said, there's a bunch of manufacturers up there popping out, but no,
I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, every other manufacturer is they're buying metal on the spot market with,
So they recycle it. Comment below if you know of any other manufacturer who does not recycle, who use virgin
Trying to
metal.
get me in trouble here, Dimitri.
I just want to know. I just want to know.
Yeah, no, that's the best of my knowledge. Yeah,
I always go with the promise, and I want to fact check that, because when someone says like no one else does it, and someone comes and says no, we do it too. Sure. Well, we have 2 players or
Absolutely,
3 players.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Is there such a thing as a bad metal roof? I know we talk about metals, recycling now, and what's the chance of consumer getting bad metal roof, and what would that be? Is it accessories? Is it just fasteners? Is it just bad design? Have you seen bad systems?
When you say, okay, so you're talking from
like the whole system. So we should expect 50 years from metal roof. Do you see systems, anybody installing their roofs that will not last 50 years? Maybe they will fail halfway because of the poor design, rust issues, whatever issues, or maybe starts leaking. What makes the bad roofing job?
There's definitely some things on the manufacturer. First and foremost, and a lot of people won't like to hear this, I think a lot of it has to do with the install, because we have a great roof, but if you install it wrong, it's going to have issues. And it might not be a manufacturer issue.
And I think it's true to asphalt as well.
Absolutely, yeah. But there are design and engineering features that some products have over others that honestly, they make it very difficult on the installers to do the proper job. And that's something that we take seriously. We're roofers by trade. That's how the Ross family got started. And so when we design and engineer these products, it's with the guy installing them in mind. And we take a lot of time putting into that.
One of the reasons I ask is because I've seen metal roofs with, we have even standing seams now. You have standing seams with hidden fasteners, and you have standing seams with the open fasteners. And huge, if that fastener fails, you have a huge leak. And now it all comes down to the warranty of the fastener, or even that little washer, and the maintenance. And now for me personally, it's not necessarily a bad metal system, but it comes with a lot of ifs and a lot of conditions. Like, okay, this is a good system, but you have to every 5 years, change fasteners or make them tighter or something. I'm like, well, that doesn't look that good.
Yeah, like caulk is a wonderful thing. It can do great things, but it fails over time, and that's something you got to keep up with and things. And then we have different systems too. We have our batten system that's an exposed fastener, and then we have our CF products, which is concealed fastener. And they both have their place where I think they work well. But concealed fastener, our concealed fastener products are really taking off.
How easy it is to repair Tilcor roof? So let's say a branch falls in the middle of the roof, completely makes a hole. Now, do you have to start over at the edge or at the top? Well, at the top would be.
So it depends on the profile, the installation. So if you're using our batten products and those are exposed fasteners, you can get right into the panel you need or a couple panels you need and take it out. The concealed fastener product is a little more labor intensive. Depending on the damage, you can cut a panel out and skin it if you got one panel, but the most effective way, especially if you got a tree fall and you got a decent sized area, is you start at the high point and you got to peel it down. So that's not ideal, but it's going to take a pretty big catastrophe to this stuff holds up great. It's all stamped and pressed, and it's a very durable product.
Well, makes sense, but accidents happen.
Oh, sure.
Especially with the tree damage. Like trees, probably, if branch falls, it's gonna dent it. Obviously, it's not gonna leak.
But if it's a tree,
yeah.
But if it's a tree, at that point you might have decking damage, and you're gonna have to peel the roof off anyway.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a tricky question for you, but I'm gonna ask it. Who makes the best asphalt shingle? You probably replace a lot of asphalt, or your guys do. Is there a brand on the market that like, okay, those guys knows what they're doing? It's
funny. To some market, a lot of that, because I came from Chicago. I've been in Colorado 7 years, and IKO was huge in Chicago and in the Midwest. And then I moved out to Colorado, and you don't see it at all. So it's, a little bit market specific. As far as when it holds up to, kind of the environment that I'm in, and it holds up, from what just the limited experience, I've seen and what we're replacing, and just what I hear in the field, Malarkey's their impact resistant shingles are good, and they hold up very well. I mean, it's limited, from what I see.
Yep.
But I hear a lot of good things about Malarkey's.
It's funny. I just came from Yellowstone, and I was all the way up in Montana, and I'm on KOA campground, RV park, and I know Malarkey is huge there. And I'm just I have one wheel driving with my kid around, and I see Malarkey bundle right there by the front office. I'm like, should review it here while I'm in Yellowstone. It was just fun. Yeah. It's huge. I heard they have like 70% market share in Montana.
Yeah, it's a lot. I was just out there last week, so but yeah, that's all you see.
Malarkey country. Yeah. Okay, accept it. So according to Tilcor, the best asphalt shingle is a Malarkey. This one is probably the hardest question I will ask. Tilcor is not an American company, but a lot of your competition is not American companies either. How do you overcome those objections? How do you explain to people why you cannot produce metal roofing in here, why it has to be imported, or like why ownership is there, and how does it to describe me objections and the conversation about where the money profits are going and working for a non-American company?
Yep. So for those who don't know, we're New Zealand based. We're based in Auckland. That's where our factory is. That's where everything ships complete over here. We have a warehouse.
Just like F-Wave, New Zealand company too?
Yeah, we have a warehouse in Texas where everything comes over on the boat, and we ship it, and we store it there, and then we ship out to distributors from there. So first and foremost, like you said, there's a lot of other companies, especially in stone coated, that aren't manufactured in the U.S. And even when they are manufactured in the U.S.,
they're still not US
well,
based.
like we talked about with the recycled content, they're buying that on the spot market from overseas 90% of the time. And so, it's like an iPhone. An iPhone's designed in the U.S., but it's manufactured in China. And so that's one way. There are, I used to work for a steel siding company before, and everything we bought from mills in the U.S., and that was a big selling point to us, or a big thing that we provided to our customers. Some people love it, some people don't care as much. But what I get to is, especially, it's a little easier with stone coated steel, I think, just because stone coated it started in New Zealand, so it's kind of the birthplace of stone coated, and so actually still being the only, still manufacturing there, I think has a little history to it. Yeah, it adds a little credibility. And we have a great team here in the U.S. The roster, they're a great company, and the manufacturing is in New Zealand, but we sell product in 80 countries around the world.
Do you ever get turned down or lose to a competition because they're local and you're not?
No, as far as because of that reason specifically, no. And actually, I was on a job in Colorado, and I was working with a contractor and talking to the homeowners, and it actually sold the product because they were from New Zealand originally, and so they really like that part.
Yeah, and I think as far as immigration goes, we drive foreign cars, Mercedes and BMWs, German cars, and if it's the best of the best, if the country is known for it, why not?
Yeah, I think that helps definitely. That's kind of the founding place of stone coated, and like I talked about with our the raw materials and the black sand beaches in New Zealand. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but that black sand beaches, that's the basis of our iron, is some of the purest iron in the world, and that's the basis of our steel. So there's kind of a little story there that I think helps. If anyone has concerns about it, I think the story helps alleviate the concerns.
Very cool. I just know that asphalt manufacturers do play that game a lot. There's only like 7-8 players in the market, but they're like, well, we're American based and they're not American based, and just whatever. Yeah. Just preferences. Just had to ask.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Let's talk about earning potential. Do you see that guys who specialize in metal make more money and have better business models than asphalt guys? Or because I see some, I experienced in my company, we install Atco roofing because they're right here in Minneapolis. So like 3-4 years ago, we start getting into metals. And my biggest problem was to finding crews and explaining to crews that they can make money, because on the asphalt shingle, it'll take you a day. On the metal, it'll take you 5 days. And they have to justify, so you literally have to pay 5 times more labor to justify those extra days. What do you see in the field as far as earning potential?
Yeah, well, there's definitely good earning potential, but you hit on something. The labor pool, the amount of skilled guys, that's crucial. And I enjoy getting asphalt crews and trying to get them trained up because I think the more people we have doing it, the better. I got some fantastic guys in Colorado that I work with all the time, and they've gone to other states and done work, and they do a fantastic job. So, and I'm sure you have the same thing in asphalt. A good crew is priceless. Sure. So a lot of times, one thing you got to look at, obviously asphalt's going to be quicker, but you see these posts, it's a 60 square roof and they're done by 2 o'clock. But they probably had 12 guys on that roof, and a stone coated crew, I see 20, not giant houses, but a 30 square house with 2 guys that know what they're doing, they can have that done in 2 days. I mean, really? Yeah, and it depends on the complexity of the house and things like that.
How much labor should be more to justify a transition from asphalt to metal? Because you've trained asphalt crews, so to make their time worth, how much more we should pay for the labor? So if, let's say I pay someone $70 for a walkable roof on asphalt, if it's 30 square roof, how much should I pay them for metal? Double? Mm-hmm. But the time sometimes triple. So if you double it, then they have to do it in 2 days. What if it takes them 3 days? They'll never want to do it again. Because if that crew can do 130 square job per day, but they took a metal, now if you double the price, you follow me? You have to finish it in 2 days. What if it does take them 3 days because of some complexity and it takes them longer?
So pay them a little more than double.
Oh, thank you. Great.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and ultimately, I think it seems like the guys that are more proficient at it, and it's best if you have crews that specialize in stone coated or just specialize in metal in general. I think that's the best thing to do. Another good avenue to that is you guys you supplement it. And especially stone coated, depending on the market you're in. I mean, there's no temperature. You don't have to wait for anything to seal, so you can do stone coated. So maybe you use those guys. They can supplement that in the winter, and they can do more stone coated in the winter where they can't really do asphalt as efficiently, because then it's going to slow them down and things of that nature. But I think a focused metal crew is the best way to go. If you're going to have bounce back and forth, typically they're going to say, I'd rather do asphalt, or they want to do one or the other. Going back and forth, you might get that argument, well, I can do this roof, and if that's the case, then maybe they don't want to do stone coated. But
he just offered you guys to install metal roof in the wintertime. How awesome is that? So you're cold, you're freezing, you're in the windy roof, touch the metals. Love it. For the roofing business owner, give selling advice how to sell metal roofs.
So well, I think a couple of things I said earlier. Energy efficiency and the lifetime costs are 2 big things. And really, as a roofing contractor, just the inherent fact that you offer stone-coated steel, you're going to separate yourself from the competition. Like, as we discussed, it's a small sliver of the market that's currently doing it.
But a lot of people are looking for it.
Yeah, exactly. And every single residential roofing contractor, they offer asphalt shingles. But so few offer stone-coated steel. It's a great way to get in there, separate yourself from the competition, portray yourself as an expert in the minds of the homeowner. And those are 3 things that I talk to contractors about all the time is, separate yourself from competition and just offer it. And I go through the whole thing, but it's like, obviously if you sell a stone-coated job, it's higher revenue. You're going to make some good money. But just by offering it, if they can't afford that top dollar for stone coated, you can drop them down to asphalt, and it still allows you to make a little higher margin on your asphalt, just because it makes it easier to drop from this number down to here. And then energy efficiency and the lifetime costs. Those 2 things are really good, I think, for the homeowners, and certain homeowners gravitate to it a little more. And then if you're selling financing in the deal, I mean, it makes
like buying a car.
It is, and then especially if you're working on an insurance claim, you get a big chunk of that money the insurance company is going to pay a chunk of it, so it's less you got to come out of pocket for. But those three things, focus on, separate yourself from the competition, energy efficiency, and lifetime cost are three things that I think they should hit on.
My last question is, because you're such a genius on the Instagram, how do you advertise metal roofs? Because so many times I would read your post and would be like, that's genius. The message is so clear. It's like, you always speak common sense.
Because I'm an idiot, that's all I know. I don't know the technical stuff.
It's a picture, it's your logo, it's Tilcor logo, and there's like a phrase, and you look at this like, man, that's genius. How do I not have a metal roof yet?
Yeah. A lot of the way I go about it, right or wrong, it seems to work pretty well, but I kind of go on the philosophy of education. And when I do put a...
But you're also very sarcastic. You also make... Yes, you are. In your post, you like to compare or even poke asphalt. You do that a lot. You do speak to common sense. You kind of like making arguments in your posts. So you don't just, educate. You're making arguments.
Yeah, well, I mean, try and do things that you can create or get a little dialogue going, because ultimately that's what I want. Whether it's good or bad, I like dialogue to get going and communicate with people. But, obviously there's a little, the Asphalt Shingles is a 800-pound gorilla in the room that, I'm just trying to break off a piece. And I believe in the biggest thing in any of this is you got to believe. I mean, I firmly believe we have the best stone coated product out there. I believe in all that. And so that makes, and I believe in, I know what I offer to the contractors and to distributors, and so all that makes it a lot easier to go out there and say some of those things. But
if you guys have any questions about install, marketing, or any questions to Chris, comment below. Chris will pick a couple winners. Yeah. We'll do like a contest. He will do a few. I actually want to do giveaway myself. We love gifts here. So if you are in our community, every month we send, 20, 30 packages. So you'll get a box with our hats, with our gear, but also we have another sponsor, Prime Grip. I will throw some metal tools. If you're interested in getting into metal or maybe learn how to install, I'll give you some nice tools. Chris will...
I'll do a couple hats.
Awesome.
I got this camo one, and then I have a black and gray one with the logo and make stone coated great again.
Awesome. So comment below what you think about metal in general. If you guys have any questions, we love comments. We always engage, always answer, man. Thank you so much for your time, for stopping by.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
If you guys have any questions for me personally, or if you have a product, maybe you have new innovation, if you're in the roofing industry and you feel like you're a game changer, this is my studio. Come to us. Let's have a talk. Let's start the conversation. I'll see you guys in the next video.